Hi, and welcome back to my part 2 of my bottle painting with ceramic paints. Now, if you remember from part 1, I was waiting for it all to dry. So now part 2, it's just about touch dry. So we can get on with it. No fear of it running now. So I now have this lovely black Peebo, as I told you in part 1, ceramic 150 paint. Other ceramic paints are available. This is the one that I particularly like. Now, a little bit on the brush. Again, very light on the brush. Don't get it blobbing or it will run. The air temperature in this room is getting colder as the day progresses, so you don't want to put it on thick because it's going to take a bit longer to dry. Now, it is easier to get on when you're painting on top of paint. That's why I paint the key coat first and then paint the colours on after. Now here we have the centre of my poppies, and quite simply, to make it easy, as I said to you from the beginning, the black looks lovely when it goes on like this. But that isn't the finished poppy. I'll show you the finished in a minute. We go here, and with this one, because we're looking sideways on, we want to make the poppy look a little bit more 3D. So we're doing upward strokes, which again, I don't want this on thick. The reason being is I want to put cloisonne work on top of this. And if you have the paint on too thick, the cloisonne will run. And it just becomes a soggy mess then. So it doesn't matter if there's a few lines or holes appearing, because you're going to be putting the cloisonne on top. Again, this one, I don't want it too thick. It's starting to pull down the bottom. So lift it off with your brush. Just watch it. If it starts running down and pooling, just pull it off. Start with a small centre, because if you make any mistakes, it will get bigger. Trust me. My centres end up quite huge when I keep doing this, if I'm not careful. There you go, that's those two done. Come around this side. And do these. Again, quite simply, nice little black circle. Try and cover up the red paint as best you can. And down here, we have another sideways on one, which I do with upward strokes, just to give it a more feeling of depth. And again, not too thick, because we want this to dry quite quickly so that I can show you how to do the cloisonne. You can probably put it on thicker, put it to one side, and let it dry. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, stems. Now I use a dark green. Again, it's lovely, really dark, rich green. I've painted the stems basically, but you've got to put the little petals around the bottom, little leaves around the bottom of the poppies. Again, quite lightly, just touch over there. Remember, it's only a design. It's not necessarily looking real. And you go down to this one. I haven't done this one yet. Just quite quickly, just do this. It just lifts that potty from being flat to being something more 3D. You can touch the green up in the stems, give them a bit more now it's dry. A bit more oomph by putting a darker colour on. There you go. It just brings them to life. Again, on this side, we want a few leaves here. A few there. And down the bottom here, definitely. A bit more on the brush than that. There we go. And you're getting that effect. It's starting to come together. A bit more colour shading there. There we go. Now my sunflower on the side, I feel needs just a bit more colour in it than just that bland green. So we'll take the dark green. We do a line down there, and then quite simply we will do darker lines there. Again up there. This is why a rigger brush is so nice, because it allows you to put lines in. Nice smooth run. just to pull it out and make it look more real. Again on this side. Like that. And that. Now there, look, see? I put the paint on too thick. That's what happens. You've got to really watch. Don't get carried away. Watch your paintbrush. Or, as I've just done, make it part of the design. There you go. Right. Now, I just want to fill in those sunflowers with brown, so just bear with me again. Okay. This is just going to be a very light coat of brown. The reason being, you'll see in a minute, Cloisonne work goes on top. And I do not want this to be swimming in paint so that it makes the Cloisonne run. So we put a light coat of brown. Do this as a base. Got a bit of black on the brush, but adds to the effect. Not a problem. There we go. The great thing about painting like this is it's a style that I've developed, but it's a very simplistic style that I think anybody could actually do if they got their mind to it. But it would come out how your style looks. We all have our own styles and things develop differently for everybody. Okay, now let's start the next stage. Bear with me. Okay, Cloisonne, as I say, it's a bit like icing a cake. Lovely long nozzle, and basically you aim at where you want to be. I say it's quite difficult this because I normally hold the bottle while I'm doing this, and the way I'm doing my particular style that I like, I find straight lines a bit boring and can get very wiggly. So what I'm doing, I do lots of little beads that go down the bottle like this, quite simply, to make the stems. And when the black's dried on the poppies, I'm going to go all over the poppies and all over the sunflowers with black beading. So, as I said to you at the start, you don't need to worry about the black covering over completely. Because when you do this, and it's starting to pool a bit down there, so I've got to go careful, it's not completely dry yet, but I'll try and show you. You do this all round, it actually makes the centre of the poppy look more realistic. And again, round the edge here, I'll stick to the red because it's drier. Whoops. There you go. It gives you a much nicer effect. Now, just to finish that poppy centre off for you, we get the little brush, or I should say the really little brush, the modeller's brush. Make sure there's no water in it because they can be very, very retain water quite a lot. A tiny little bit of white, and I mean it's a tiny little bit of white, just enough to go to the centre of the poppy. Just do a little tiny highlight there. There you go. And if I just pick that up for you, you'll see what I've done. Can you see the little beading on it? I intend to put beading in the middle ones, the blue ones down the bottom as well, and on the sunflower, and I'll show you the finished product in a minute. Okay, so I've done all the painting I intend to do on this one. To coin a phrase, I think I'll call it finished. Now, as you can see, I've put the Cloisonne work around the sunflower. I do my beading I like to do around the edge of my poppies, etc. Very, very simple pattern this. But if you bear with me, I'll go and let you have a little look at some of the other stuff I do. Now, just to reiterate, a cold oven. Put the bottom on an ordinary baking tin into a cold oven. If you put it into a hot oven, it will blow up and crack. Then turn it up to 150 Celsius and let it cook I usually let it come to temperature. The glass gets hot. You get a bit of a smell, turn it straight off. And just leave it in the oven to cool down till it's sort of touch warm. If you get it out, you can burn yourself, so don't try that. Let it till it's touch warm, bring it out of the oven. When the glass is cold and not before, give it a wash on the outside of the bottle under a tap till it's clean, and it just to get the grease off. Dry it. It will then be totally washable. You can wash it in wash up liquid, do what you like. It will not fade, and it really is difficult to come off. And so it makes it waterproof for going out in the garden and that. I can put cork battery lights in it. It looks great. You can buy them on various internet providers. And they're like fairy lights with corks that just drop in the top of the bottle. You can get them for outside, that are waterproof. You can get solar ones, all sorts. If you investigate, you'll find them easily. You bear with me, I'll show you some I made earlier. And here we are. Now, these are two of my special ones that I did earlier. This one is a certain well-known brand of whiskey. And it took me about a week to do this. All this beading here, this is all Clisson work. And the stained glass effect, I had to do all that before I did anything else. A lot of work, very satisfying, really lovely. And watch this. Hey presto, there's the cork fairy lights that go on the top. And it looks stunning in the window at night. It's beautiful. Now this one's a little bit more novel. And then there's another famous brand of gin bottle. Has printing on the side, so what I've done is I've covered it over with a design of corals that make it look like it's under the sea. I've painted all the various fishes on the bottle, and if you noticed, I've got a little model fish hanging in there, inside, behind the fish. I hang him on the lights, I put him in there on a bit of cotton. However, when you turn these lights on, not very easy to show you on video, it doesn't show up too well, but they're blue. And blue glass, it blings out at you. But as I say, it does flare on the video a bit, so not so good. But really, really simple to do. I don't think there's many bottles that you can't paint. I'll just show you this one. Now this one has been done on a standard black bottle. And again, it's a proper painting. It's one of a photograph I did many years ago, a painting I did many years ago. But obviously you don't get the effect of the lights quite so much, but hey, look at that. They look like they're in the trees, starry. It's very pretty. I like that effect quite a lot. And then my most popular are these. There's that the way so you can see them better. But that's one of my gin glasses. Done exactly the same way. The same paints. The bottoms have been painted with it. And you literally let it flow down the stems. And that's another one over there. And again, they're dishwasher proof. Although I always recommend washing up by hand. See the beading on that one? Well, that's a little insight into ceramic painting on glasses and bottles. I hope you enjoyed it. This is very new to me. These are the first two videos I've ever done on YouTube, so I apologise for any faux pas. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to be bringing you a lot more. I paint a lot in virtual reality. I will be showing you some of my proper work that I do in there, and I also do acrylic work. I am an artist, and I do all sorts of things. I'm pretty well known now for my ceramic work and glass work, and when I do another one, I will be bringing you some more YouTube videos. Thank you for bearing with me.